So flat earthers deny science, or we purposely try to steer people away from quote unquote science. I want to tackle this. This is Passion for Truth coming at you in another video. You see, I am approached a lot, and people come to me and ask me why I deny science, quote unquote. I'm going to use a lot of air quotes in this video, okay? And many other flat earthers are in the same ballpark as me. We are constantly being asked, like, why do we deny science, or what is so important about steering people away from the science? What do I get out of that? Or, why do you trust a Bible that was written 2,000 years ago by people who didn't have an understanding of the world in which we live? And I'm not going to get into the scriptures. I'm not going to get into the Bible in this video. I'm specifically going to talk about science. What is science? Number one. Okay? Number two, are people that go against the science, quote unquote, are they being shunned? Are they being monitored? Are they being quieted on social media platforms like this? The answer is yes. Absolutely. And this ought to be the only proof that you need to see that there's an agenda here. There's an absolute agenda. Science of today is a religious cult, and I'm going to prove that here. And you might not like it. You might laugh at it. You might think it's ridiculous because you've been trusting the science your whole life. Ever since you first stepped foot into that kindergarten class, they've been indoctrinating you, whether or not you want to believe that or not. They've been steering you in a certain direction, to a point where if you go against that you're laughed at, you're ridiculed, you're mocked. And the proof of that ought to be really easy to see. For instance, if I title this video "Flat Earth," if Flat Earth is anywhere in the title, or if the robots on YouTube, when they listen to this recording, if they hear the word flat earth come up, guess what they do now? There's a little box that's going to be underneath my video that says something along the lines of flat earth is an old theory, right, that has been disproven hundreds of years ago. And it says that's what it's going to say. So my question to you guys, it's funny because in one breath you'll say science is always changing, so science can never be a matter of fact. I agree yet disagree with that statement, because there are certain things that are matter of fact. Okay? There are certain things that we can put a stake in and say this is absolute. However, for the most part, science is always changing. I think we all would agree with that. But here's where you're missing the point. For instance, in grade school, are we being taught that the earth is a globe as a matter of fact? Are kids being taught that they live on a spinning space rock as a matter of fact? And the answer is yes. In other words, there is no argument to be made there. The science is already settled. Okay? And anyone who goes against that is made fun of, is a laughingstock, is ridiculed and mocked. It's like 2 + 2 = 4. If you don't believe that the earth is a ball, then you also don't believe that 2 + 2 is 4. That's how matter of fact it is. So when people come to me and say things like, how come we can't just go along to get along? How come we can't work together on this? And come to some conclusions together as a team. Well, that would be nice, and that sounds great in theory. But you see, there's this thing called power and control. And those who own the banks, those who control the money, control the world, control the direction of the world. They control the books that your kids read in school. They control the agendas at school. Is this starting to make sense? In other words, they control our minds. They put us on a path in a direction that they want us to go. And anyone who goes against that is shunned. Think about what has happened in the last couple of years. You might not know this because these people are being quieted on social media platforms. There are literally now thousands and thousands of doctors that have come out against the old jabberoos, right? Saying how much they harm. They've warned us how many people have died, how many people have had severe adverse reactions to them. Now, you're not going to hear this on mainstream media because guess who owns mainstream media? Same people who control the banks, who control big pharma. YouTube is now owned by Google, right? So all these things are being suppressed, where anybody who goes against the grain with quote unquote mainstream science, we're being shut down. Now, I might have a little bit of freedom to speak here, but guess what? When you go to search for my video, when you go to search for any pro flat earth video, for instance, you're not going to find them, no matter how many views it has. Isn't it before, like the more views that you have, the easier it was, the higher you were up in the algorithms. But now they are censoring that. For you will literally, even if you put in the exact title of my video after I'm done uploading this video, more than likely you're not going to find it. You're going to find the anti-flat earth videos, the people who are quote unquote debunking flat earth, like your Simon Dans, like your Not a Professor Daves, like your Mr. Sensibles, your Fight the Flat Earth guy, Fight the Tight Shirt guy. You'll find all these guys easily. And they don't even have real subscribers. They have paid for subscribers. And they're being boosted up on social media platforms. Why? Because that's the direction they want you to go. They don't want you to question the science. They want you brainwashed. They want you ill-informed. They also want you sick so that you come back and you take more of their medicine and that you keep coming back. Like I said, you might not know this, but you've heard of germ theory, okay? You've heard of germ theory, and you probably believe that hook, line, and sinker, and that's okay. But you've probably never heard of terrain theory, which is a totally different theory that is being discussed amongst the greatest minds today. But you don't know that because that's being suppressed. You don't understand that there is a discussion there, that the science is not settled. And the deeper you dive into terrain theory, the more you see that makes a lot more sense. That's my opinion. But you probably don't even know that there's even a debate there because that stuff is being censored. So when you come to me or any other flat earther and you say, why are you trying to push people away from science? Why can't we all just work together? This is why. In theory, it sounds great to work together. But in reality, it's not going to happen. We're being censored at every level. We don't... Our freedom of speech is declining more and more every day. Like I said, I can make this video and I can talk about flat earth all day, but I'm going to be suppressed. I'm not going to be high up in the algorithms on YouTube. I will be 20 pages back. You'll never find this video. And more than likely, even if you put in the whole title, you won't find it. So what does that tell you? What does it tell you when these doctors who have multiple degrees have come out and they've spoke out against certain things about this pandemic that we just went through? We're still going through today. They're still trying to send us in that direction. And they have a purpose. They have a reason why they're doing that. Just look at the system in China right now. The system that China has now and is becoming normal is... You don't even have to have your wallet on, your credit cards. You simply, if you want to go purchase something, You simply just walk up to the counter and they have a facial recognition system now. And they recognize your face, and your face is, your value is based off of a credit system, you know? And that credit system is wild. It's not just a financial credit system. It's how well you behave, how well you follow the system. You get where I'm going? You see, trust the science is a euphemism for trust the system. That's where I'm getting at. There is no going against the narrative. There's tons of people trying to speak out about all this stuff, and they're being suppressed. And that's not science. What is science? Can we define that word? Science is observing a natural phenomenon and coming up with a theory of why that phenomenon is happening, and coming up with your independent variables to go out there and test that theory and then to repeat it. That's the scientific method. Are we using the scientific method, or is there an agenda here pushing us in a certain direction? That's why this whole topic is so flippin' important. That's why Flat Earth is so damn important, because it literally opens up your eyes to the deception. Flat Earth is not a psyop. It destroys the psyop. And it's been destroying the psyop. And it will continue to do so. More and more people are starting to see this reality. It's not going anywhere. Don't you think that's kind of weird? That something so crazy as the earth being flat is not going, it's growing by leaps and bounds. And that after this last pandemic, where people had time to sit back and watch videos, watch YouTube videos, or research certain things, they're now starting to see that in every direction they look, we're being lied to. We're being lied to about a lot of stuff. You see, I'm asking you, why do you trust the so-called science? You're trusting the so-called science that told us that 2 planes took down 7 buildings during 9/11. You only knew about 2 buildings because that's what was brainwashed and indoctrinated into your mind over and over and over again as you watch the news channels. They kept putting that in your head, those 2 buildings coming down. But what about the other buildings? What about Building 7? How did it fall at free fall speed? And it was never touched by a plane. Same day. Other buildings, the Pentagon was hit by a plane supposedly, but nobody found any debris. See, you're trusting the science that's telling you that Jabberoos, the old Jabbo, is safe and effective, when freaking peanuts will literally kill certain people. How can anything be safe? Who is it safe and effective for? You ever ask that question? Because like, if a certain peanut or walnut can kill somebody, how does a one-size-fits-all Jabberoo, how is that safe and effective? You see, do you question these things? You're trusting that science. You're trusting the science that said that we went to the moon, when we can debunk that 9 ways from Sunday. Most other countries laugh at America. And the only people who still believe that we landed on the moon are NASA fanboys, your Star Wars fanboys, Star Trek, and good old American patriots who still believe in the false illusion that we fight for freedom. We don't fight for freedom. We haven't fought for freedom in centuries. We fight to feed the pockets of these elitists, these cultists, Satanists, whatever you want to call them. I don't care what you call them. I'm just pointing it out. That's what we fight for. And we're fighting for them to support this agenda that's pushing us in a certain direction. And if we just took the time to look at other countries like China, we would see what direction we're headed. But we don't. We continue on about our everyday business. because that's what we've been trained to do. We've been trained to listen to information, test on it, regurgitate it, and walk around like zombies or robots and just follow the system. That's how we've been trained. We haven't been trained to think for ourselves, to think outside the box. And that's why this is so important. So hopefully, I have done it justice. It's only been 15 minutes. I hope I did it some justice as to why it's so important to point these things out. To point out the fact that we can't just go along and get along. There is a spiritual battle here between good and evil. And you have to choose a side. Unfortunately, you can't sit on the fence. It's not the time to sit on the fence anymore. You have to realize this, and you have to choose a side here. It's a spiritual battle. And now is the perfect time to be on the right side of history. Question is, what side of history do you want to be on? You want to be on the wrong side, or you want to be on the right side? That's my question to you. Are you going to continue to trust the science blindly without questioning it? Or are you going to try to think for yourself and question these things? Think about your kids and your kids' future. Are you okay with your kids being lied to intentionally? I'm not. I'm not at all. That's why this is so important to me. So with that, I just want you to think for yourself. Until the next video, if you like this video, hit the like button. Make sure to subscribe. Hit the bell. You'll see me on the next video. Take care. God bless. I love you. But you got to start thinking. Peace.